Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this because today we are looking at something, well, it's truly revolutionary. For centuries, our understanding of human history has literally been tied to how much Earth we could move. But what if we didn't have to move any at all? Today, we're exploring how modern technology is completely transforming our understanding of the ancient Indus civilization. We're pulling back the curtain on lost worlds, and we're doing it without moving a single shovelful of dirt. Think about the traditional picture of archaeology for a second. We all know it, right? Spades breaking the soil, people sweating in the sun, painstakingly bringing artifacts into the light over decades of work. It's highly physical and, honestly, by its very nature, it's destructive to the site itself. But modern archaeology, it completely flips the script. We're talking about satellites, invisible data streams, complete structural visualizations that happen in a matter of hours, and absolutely zero destruction to the landscape. We are literally swapping the spade for the sensor. So that brings us to a pretty provocative question. How do we discover cities without digging? How in the world can scientists uncover entire lost civilizations, mapping out streets, homes, markets, without ever actually touching the ground? Well, to answer that, we have to change our perspective. We have to start our journey far, far above the Earth. Section 1. Seeing from space, the macro view. The very first step in our invisible excavation starts hundreds of kilometers up. Satellite imagery gives researchers this extraordinary macro view of massive regions of land. And from orbit, incredible patterns begin to emerge. Satellite can pick up on these super subtle changes in vegetation or really unusual soil colors. They even spot distinct rectangular outlines hiding right beneath modern farmland. They can spot ancient riverbeds that were once bustling transport routes. Like if you were just standing there on the ground, you think it was a perfectly ordinary farm field. But from space, hundreds of previously unknown Indus settlement sites have been discovered simply by reading these spatial anomalies. It's a vast ancient urban network just hiding in plain sight. Section 2. Removing time from the landscape, the canopy view. Now, to get beneath the trees and the surface vegetation, scientists use an absolutely incredible tool called LiDAR. That stands for Light Detection and Ranging. Basically, it uses laser pulses sent down from an aircraft to measure distances to the ground, and that creates highly detailed 3D maps of the Earth's surface. What makes this so magical for archaeologists is that it effectively strips away modern obstacles. It sees right through dense vegetation. In the digital model, forests simply disappear, making the ground beneath them totally transparent. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you strip away those trees and modern overgrowth. LiDAR reveals unbelievable secrets. We're talking subtle elevations and depressions in the earth, buried architecture, entire ancient settlement patterns. We aren't just finding a single building here. Actually, scratch that. LiDAR reconstructs entire hidden landscapes with crystal clarity. The boundaries and urban layouts of the Indus civilization that have been obscured for millennia, they suddenly just appear in digital form. Section 3. Scanning beneath the soil, the microview. Moving deeper, we rely on ground-penetrating radar, or GPR. If satellites show us the surface patterns, GPR shows us what is hiding directly beneath the soil. It works by sending electromagnetic waves straight into the ground. These waves travel downward until they hit something, and then they bounce back, allowing us to map hidden structures without moving a single grain of dirt. The process is wonderfully straightforward but immensely powerful. First, electromagnetic waves are beamed deep into the earth. Second, when those waves encounter buried objects like ancient walls, stone foundations, or even empty voids, they reflect back up to the surface. And third, a computer processes those reflections to create a highly detailed three-dimensional map. What used to take decades of backbreaking digging can now be visualized in a few hours. When you apply this to the Indus Valley, the scope of discovery is just staggering. GPR is uncovering hidden streets, massive storage areas, and intricate structural remains. Entire city blocks are appearing beneath the soil like ghost images of the past. We can literally trace the footsteps of ancient citizens down streets we haven't even excavated yet. It's like we're reading the soil like a forgotten book. And that brings us to this really powerful quote. Ground-penetrating radar does not destroy history, it reads it. Let that sink in for a second. That is the absolute crux of this technological shift. We're moving from a practice that necessarily dismantled a site to study it to a practice of pure preservation. We can leave the fragile remains perfectly intact while still learning absolutely everything about them. Section 4. Rebuilding the Ancient World, the Meta View. So we have all this raw data from space, from lasers, and from radar. This is where we transcend physical space entirely and enter the digital realm. Archaeologists are taking all these diverse data sources, the satellite data from orbit, the GPR scans, the LiDAR mapping, and yes, traditional excavation findings where we have them, and they are fusing them all together. By layering these data points, a massive digital transformation is triggered. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this data fusion is allowing us to recreate legendary Indus cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Dholavira in breathtaking detail. But these virtual cities aren't just pretty museum displays. They are vital scientific tools. By recreating these spaces digitally, researchers can actually test theories on how ancient urban planning worked. They can run simulations on ancient water systems and calculate population densities. They can explore how these societies function dynamically without ever damaging the fragile, real-world ruins. Technology is quite literally giving these cities a second life in the digital world. Section 5. The Future of Discovery, AI and Beyond. The most powerful non-invasive tool we're developing right now: artificial intelligence. AI thrives on data, and as we've just seen, modern archaeology is generating a massive amount of it. AI systems can analyze these incredibly complex geographic and archaeological datasets to detect patterns that are simply invisible to the human eye. We're talking about finding subtle alignments in the terrain across hundreds of miles, or spotting repeated settlement structures hidden under deep layers of modern development. AI finds correlations across landscapes that are just way too vast for any single human brain to comprehend. To really understand the leap we're taking here, consider that human analysis, as brilliant as it is, has a limited scope, and it processes information pretty slowly. AI analysis, on the other hand, instantly cross-references thousands of data points. It can actually predict where ancient cities might exist based on a mix of environmental, geological, and historical data long before we ever point a radar at the ground. AI isn't replacing the archaeologist. It's a partner in discovery that vastly expands our vision. So, what does this all mean for the future of the field? Well, it means pop culture icons like Indiana Jones might need to learn how to code. The entire discipline is shifting toward this amazing concept of digging without digging. The future is non-invasive precision mapping. It means we're going to be scanning entire geographic regions in high definition before we ever decide to lift a trowel. This drastically reduces damage to fragile sites and allows for incredibly strategic, targeted exploration. The Indus civilization is acting as the prime example, the proving ground really, for this incredible transformation in how we do historical science. Which leaves us with this incredible thought: will we soon walk through entire ancient cities virtually before touching a single layer of soil? Based on the satellite telemetry, the LiDAR, the radar, and the AI we've looked at today, the answer seems to be a resounding yes. Data, light, and computation are quite literally rewriting human history, bringing whole civilizations back from the dust. I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. For thousands of years, the cities of the Indus civilization were hidden. But as we've learned in this explainer today, the past is not gone. It is simply waiting to be discovered in entirely new ways. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the invisible pasts, and I encourage you to keep exploring.